What are the symptoms of ADHD in a child? Do you want to know that? Well, you're not alone, because there are many people who think they might be seeing ADHD. I'm Nicholeen Peck, and I talk all over the world about good parenting, good communications, as well as child development, and we study these things through the lens of the principle self-government. And in this video, we're going to be talking about what ADHD actually looks like. ADHD is overdiagnosed. I will say that. If you look in the United States, the diagnosis of ADHD happens way more frequently than in other countries in Europe, Asia, and elsewhere. So we are definitely overdiagnosing ADHD. However, ADHD is real. In fact, multiple foster children that came to my home when I was a therapeutic treatment care parent and did foster care training for troubled teens ages 12 to 18 had ADHD. And there's definitely a difference between ADHD and ADD. So make sure you know the difference between those two things. In fact, I have a whole video on the difference between ADD and ADHD. So look that one up. ADHD is also misunderstood because some people are looking at normal, typical, like 7-year-old boy behavior, and they are thinking that it's ADHD. Or they might be just seeing a strong-willed personality and thinking that's ADHD, when in reality it might just be a strong-willed person. So let's look at what ADHD actually is. And then let's look at personality, developmental age, things that we need to understand so that we don't confuse those. And then, as a bonus at the end, I would like to share with you some things that you can do to help the person with ADHD or who is showing maybe some of the symptoms of ADHD get things on track and feel a little less frustrated and more functional in their relationships. ADHD, or Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder, is a disorder that affects a person's brain, okay? It can be something that is genetic. So if mom or dad has ADHD, then a person can develop ADHD just through genetic makeup. But it also can be something that happens because of an environment that a person is in. Now, I know that can make some people kind of feel bad if their child has ADHD, but that just is the nature of the beast. It can be one or the other. So sometimes there are children who maybe didn't get proper attachment when they were young. Their parents went through trauma of one sort or another, potentially, and they can develop some ADHD tendencies. They could also be in an environment that is too stimulating, too much video, too much phone usage, too much TV. Children, when they're little, who see lots and lots of screens would have a higher tendency to develop ADHD. Also, permissive parenting. So parents who are really lax and permissive, let their child get emotionally explosive all the time, don't rein them in and help them learn how to communicate effectively, are also going to have a tendency to raise children who develop an ADHD way of processing. The good news is that no matter whether it's genetic or environmental, there are things that you can do about it, and we're going to talk about those at the end of this video. So let's talk about what ADHD looks like. A person with ADHD has a brain that does not connect typically to normal things happening around them. This atypical connection in the brain actually makes it so that they are easily distracted. This is the biggest difference, really, between the attention deficit hyperactivity disorder person and the oppositional defiant person. So there's the ODD, which is oppositional defiant disorder, because both ADHD and ODD can display a lot of defiance, but it is that ability or atypical tendency, I guess, to get distracted that is how you know the person doesn't have ODD but probably ADHD instead. People with ADHD oftentimes experience depression. They don't feel happy. They'll beat themselves up a bit because they have a hard time focusing. They get bored really easily. They seem like they're zoning out and not paying attention to stuff, which can come across as rude. And when they damage relationships, they can get pretty hard on themselves because they know that it's partially their fault, if not all their fault, that their relationship was damaged. Because people with ADHD have super short attention spans, they oftentimes get forgetful. They don't want to forget everything, it just happens. Another key thing that you're going to notice with a person who has ADHD is they seem to be moody. They have extreme highs and extreme lows. Now, I'm not talking bipolar highs and lows because those are different, and that's a video for another day. But where they feel like they're being totally silly and just getting distracted right into that silliness like crazy, but then all of a sudden pulling back and feeling like their feelings are taking over in a very deep way when they didn't get the attention that they wanted. So oftentimes people with ADHD are seeking for attention. They just go about it all wrong. I'm going to do a quick listing of symptoms that you want to be on the watch out for ADHD, and we're going to talk about things that you can do to help a person with ADHD be successful in their relationships. But before we do you see that little button that says subscribe? Click on that button now. You will not want to miss so many of the videos on this channel are dedicated to helping people understand what's going on the inside and self-governing it so that they can have the best results with their own happiness and with their relationships. Click subscribe now. So here are the key symptoms that you will recognize for a person with ADHD. Difficulty focusing, tendency to be hyperactive, impatient, moody, depressed, having a hard time having cognitive control, which means they have a hard time focusing in. They get rewarded by negative interactions because the reward center of the brain for a person with ADHD really gets triggered by strange things. It's atypical rewarding. So sometimes when they're getting negative attention, they start feeling like they've done something good. Have a hard time staying committed to a long-term goal because the short-term goal seems way more appealing. They don't think ahead and don't like to be told to think ahead. Then here's the big one, they interrupt. They interrupt people a lot. Now, one thing we need to recognize is this. 7-year-old boys and girls interrupt people a lot. They also have their brains jumping all over because there are all of these synapses that are firing and connecting all of the information in their brains. So they have a hard time focusing too because everything is so exciting. They also can seem very impatient and they like attention because they're children and they're at an age where they want, "Mommy, look at me." They want attention. So they also are the type of people that could seem like they have ADHD. Many children are hyper. That doesn't mean they have ADHD. Many children are rude or moody. That doesn't mean they have ADHD. When a person has all of these things continually, not just in the morning when their cartoon is on and they don't want to get ready for school, but all of the time, even when it's time to eat their favorite snack, they get distracted. Another thing with ADHD that we probably should bring up right here is that many people with ADHD, even though they have a hard time focusing, they can hyper focus on certain things. So some people might hyper focus on, say, science or collecting rocks or something, or maybe learning how to do gymnastics. Those could be things that they might hyper focus on, or reading they might hyper focus on, but they will not focus on everything else. But that's also very typical behavior for a child who is like 7 years old. So I just really caution you against pinning the label of ADHD on anybody. A person who is ADHD is going to be oppositional, defiant, and oftentimes depressed too. So keep that in mind. And those will not be things that your 7-year-old is going to be combining together necessarily. Although almost every behavior that is listed for ADHD, maybe besides depression, would be characteristic of a 7 or 8-year-old child. This is why ADHD is so overdiagnosed. However, do people that are age 7 have ADHD? Yes, they do. So what do you do about it? Whether a person has ADHD or not, there are things you can do to make life a little bit better. What you decide to do on your side of the interactions with your children actually has more impact than you might think. I know some people think, oh, they have ADHD, I can't do anything about it. And so they assume that they just need to coddle the child or take a hands-off approach and let the child just experience things the way they're going to experience them. That hands-off approach is actually not good for your child. Parents need to stay invested, communicating with the child about their behavior, and helping the child practice for a better future. For years, I took in troubled teens. They were all between the ages of 12 and 18, and they all had a variety of non-neurotypical things, as well as trauma, abuse, broken relationships, stuff that they were dealing with from their past. Many of them had ADHD, as well as other diagnoses. And with those children who had ADHD, I did not take a hands-off approach. I understood that they process things differently, so I kept that in mind, but that did not mean that I was going to disable them by not doing key parenting things that they needed. So I actually have a course. It's called the TSG Parenting Course. You can find out about it on my website, which is teachingselfgovernment.com. So definitely go there. The TSG Parenting Course is a 10-module course that takes parents through learning what they need to know to help their child with ADHD or their child who is completely neurotypical, because the principles and skills work for everybody. But I can promise you they work for children with ADHD, as well as OCD, RAD, ADD, FAS, bipolar, kleptomania, compulsive lying. They work for a lot of different things that a person might be experiencing. So let me tell you about some key things that are in this course that you can maybe start doing really quickly. So number one is understanding what self-government means for you and for them. When a person is self-governing, they understand the cause and effect of any given situation and possess a knowledge of their own behavior so that they can control them. This means the parents and the children. So what that means is you need to practice having self-mastery for yourself. There are 4 basic skills that I teach in this program that are for adults and children, but they are a primary focus for children because they take care of 99% of all behavioral problems. Those 4 basic skills are following instructions, accepting no answers and criticism, accepting consequences, and disagreeing appropriately. If a person can learn all 4 of the skill sets that are as part of those 4 basic skills, then they can learn self-mastery and self-control. It gives them key little steps that they can use to focus on. So often we say to our child, you're being moody, or you have an attitude problem, stop whining. And even though the voice might be whiny, there's more to it than that. Their body isn't calm. And what should they be doing instead? So when we say that they're whining, we're focusing on the negative and expecting them to know how to fix it. Well, instead, in the skill accepting a no answer, they learn they can look at the person or the situation, keep a calm face, voice, and body, say okay or ask to disagree appropriately, and then drop the subject. So when they're being a whiny voice tone, what is it? Well, you don't have a calm voice right now, and you're probably not dropping the subject because you're continuing to whine about the problem. So you can focus on those 2 things and help them know how to fix it in a way that's much more pointed. It's less vague. It decreases the anxiety, which is so useful. That's just one of those 4 basic skills. And I also have skills for calmness, how to communicate calmly for parents and for children. At the end of this video, video, I'm going to give you a gift for how you can start working on some of those calm things for free. But there are also 5 teaching styles for the parents, so the parents can have good, calm communication with the children while the children are getting corrected, because they do need consistency. A person who has ADHD cannot get away with it ever. They need someone to care enough to help them fix it every single time. They don't need you to micromanage them and be mean and overbearing. They just need you to care enough to do those corrections every time and not think about the time it takes, because a child with ADHD is going to have to be corrected more often than a child with ADD. But this brings me to something super important, and that is praise. If a person learns self-government, they know good equals good, bad equals bad. So what you need to do is make sure you are praising your children 6 to 10 times for every one time that you correct them. Start that one today. And then the next thing you can do is start working on your calmness and help them with their calmness. Then move on to that TSG parenting course that is going to be transformational. So how do you work on the calmness? I've got a free gift for you because you stayed to the end of this video, and that is my Calm Parenting Toolkit. This is a first mini course. It's a first start that is perfect for you. It's a mini course that you can use to help learn the principles of calmness. Okay, how to be calm when someone else isn't. How to help them get calm without losing your calmness at the same time. Then you can move on to the main course and get all of the other pieces when you are ready to put it into practice. In the description below this video, there is a link to the Calm Parenting Toolkit. It says teachselfgov.com/toolkit. Click on the link to that now, and you can have the Calm Parenting Toolkit for free. I'll see you there.